Well, right now here on the program, we want to learn more about how Bushel Plus's SmartPan system helps farmers measure and manage their grain loss during harvest. Joining us now for that conversation, he's an international product support specialist for Bushel Plus. Chris Christensen is with us here today on the show. And Chris, thanks so much for joining us here on the program. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on today.
Well, let's just start, Chris, and tell us first how Bushel Plus's SmartPan system helps farmers measure and manage some of that grain loss during harvest. Give us a little overview to start.
So basically what it is we've got a system that can be mounted on any combine to measure grain loss behind combines. It's a product that's very easily used, very easily mounted. There's an app that goes along with it to allow the calculations on the drop pans for farmers to understand what that grain loss is, what the impact on dollars are per acre and by hour, and gives them a good idea of being able to be more profitable at the end of the year.
Well, Chris, as we think about this, why is it important for farmers to measure grain loss using a tool like the SmartPan system versus other traditional and less accurate methods?
So basically, by using our drop pan system, it's going to be reliability. It's going to be something that's a lot more safe. When you see guys, by being able to drop that pan remotely, you don't have that person running beside the combine anymore with a shovel. Obviously trying not to trip and get ran over or dodging what's coming out of the chopper. It's a product that's very easy to use. It's something that what I often tell people is that if you're not using something like this, you can't manage what you don't measure. And at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is put more money in the farmers' pockets. We're trying to put more food into the economy and into the world. And that's why we're here, is to basically help farmers at the end of the year.
Well, let's talk about ease of use here a little bit. How does the SmartPan system integrate with combines to help calibrate their sensors? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So basically what that system is doing to calibrate sensors, I often tell people that sensor, that loss sensor that is in that combine right now, is basically like a tape measure that has no lines or numbers on it. You know that loss sensor is telling you something, but you don't know really what it means. There's also a sensitivity button on there that people like to turn. And by turning that, it's actually kind of fudging what that sensitivity and what that loss sensor is. So basically what we're doing with this drop pan system is, as we're combining with our combine, the guys will go and push their calibrate button on their display and drop the pan at the same time. So by doing that, now that when that calibration button is pushed, they've got a mark that's at the center of their display, so that they know that every time they hit that display that mark on the display, whatever they've measured in that drop pan, now they know that whether it's a bushel, 2 bushel, 3 bushel an acre loss, now you've actually been able to calibrate that sensor so that if I'm at that line on my display, I know that I'm now at, whether it's 1 bushel or 2 bushel of loss, whatever you've determined by when you're dropping that pan.
Well, you kind of alluded to it there, but maybe expand a little more. I mean, why is loss sensor calibration so crucial for combine automation, Chris?
So basically what that automation in any of these newer combines is basically being ran off of what your loss sensors are telling them. So that's allowing them to speed up, slow down, change settings on the fly. So if that loss sensor is not calibrated properly, and right now we know that there's no real number given to that sensor. By getting that sensor calibrated to the right amount, it's allowing that automation to actually sense what's happening in the machine and actually being able to run that combine more efficiently. It'll actually speed up, slow down, and do all those things more efficiently and more effectively.
Well, we're talking with Chris Christensen from Bushel Plus here today about their SmartPan system. Do you have any success stories you could share with our listeners, Chris, of folks who've used the SmartPan system and used it to their advantage on their operation?
So absolutely. Just a few weeks back, I was in Oklahoma. We got to spend a couple of days with one of the custom combining crews down there. They had a combine that hadn't been calibrated properly. They were losing close to 11 bushels an acre behind a specific combine. So by having that drop pan system, we were able to actually first identify that combine had an issue, And then after that, by going in and basically calibrating and setting the machine up properly, we were able to take that machine from close to 11 bushels of loss down to less than 1. So as you can see, that's a huge economic, increase. 10 bushels an acre, that's a lot of grain, right? So just by having that pan there, being able to understand and find that there was a problem, and now going in, correcting the problem, and all this time we're able to, watch what that system's doing with that drop pan. And now by changing a few settings and going through it, now we're able to bring that combine back to somewhere where it's a very, very acceptable loss for both the farmer and the custom harvest crew that was running it.
Well, and you hit it, the economic benefit, that ROI, return on investment of using something like Bushel Plus's SmartPan system. I just think about that, obviously at the end of the day, that's what farmers are looking for, right? They want the best return on investment that they can have. And, with that crop that's going in the ground. So it's important to maximize that as best as possible, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. And, when you look at, and a lot of people talk about when the grain prices are on the higher side, when the commodity prices are there, they're more worried about losing more dollars per acre that way per bushel. I look at it kind of the other way, and I tell guys that this is the time in the economy when those commodity prices are lower. This is the time when you should spend that money and put that ROI out, that money out to get that combine, or to get that drop pan, because right now you need every bushel in that tank to be able to make your farms more profitable.
Well, Chris, great thoughts about the SmartPan system from Bushel Plus. If folks want to learn more about it, reach out with questions, things like that, I'm sure online, going to the Bushel Plus website, probably a great place to start for information, isn't it, Chris?
Absolutely. We've got a website out there that anybody can have a look at. We've also got our 1-800 number that people can phone. There's a group of us between the sales team and us product support people that are more than glad to answer any questions and help anybody with anything that they need.
And all that information's online at bushelplus.com. That's bushelplus.com. And with that, international product support specialist for Bushel Plus, Chris Christensen, thanks for joining us today and telling us more about the SmartPan system from Bushel Plus. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you for everything today.